Today is the 3rd of August 2016. It's a humid morning at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport in the southern tip of India. 282 passengers walk across a jet bridge to board Emirates Flight 521. The passengers are mostly Indian workers heading back to Dubai after the holidays. But they are also accompanied by 24 Brits, 11 Emiratis, and passengers from 20 other countries. They all settle into their seats for what should be a routine 3.5-hour flight to Dubai. Among them is 62-year-old Mohammed Khader. He is seated in 45B. In his shirt pocket, folded in half, is a Dubai duty-free lottery ticket. In 6 days, those numbers will win $1 million. Whether Mohammed Khader is alive to collect it is totally a different question. Our plane today is a Boeing 777-300. She first flew on the 7th of March 2003, and after 13 years and 58,000 flight hours, she is one of the most travelled Emirates aircraft in the fleet. New York, London, Sydney. She has been everywhere. But today, this plane that you see in front of you, this plane is about to take her final flight. At 10:30 in the morning, she pushes back. 4 minutes later, she's lined up on the runway. The captain pushes her throttles forward. The engines sing, the wheels roll, and she lifts gracefully off the earth. God's own country disappears beneath them. The Arabian Sea spreads out below, sparkling in the morning sun. 3.5 hours to Dubai ahead. And so far, everything looks completely routine. But 1900 miles ahead, the air over Dubai is starting to behave strange. And by the time Emirates 521 gets there, the runway will be sitting under a trap. And the two men in this cockpit have no idea it exists. The captain is a 34-year-old Emirati. He joined Emirates straight out of school in 2001 at just 19 years of age. He started on the Airbus A330, earned his 777 rating in 2009 and made captain in 2015, just a year before this flight. Pilots usually reach captain on a wide-body jet in their 40s or 50s. He got there a decade early. Emirates clearly saw something special in him. But this captain comes with baggage. Twice during his training, evaluators flagged his flaring technique. The flare is the last moment of a landing where the pilot raises the nose and lets the rear wheels settle onto the runway. The captain tends to flare too early, causing the plane to drift towards the end of the touchdown zone. Although he always landed inside the zone, it was just later than most other pilots. The airline noted it, but it decided that it wasn't a cause for concern. In about 90 minutes, this is going to land him in serious trouble. There is a second note in his record. A year earlier, in a simulator, the evaluators had put him under pressure. And whilst under pressure, he locked onto one task and went completely blind to everything around him. Tunnel vision. The evaluators noted it, but they passed him anyway. And there's a third thing. In the 12 months before this flight, he flew 66 landings as pilot flying. And of those 66, only 9 were at Dubai. Roughly 1 landing at his home airport every 6 weeks. The airport that he knows best on paper is the one where he rarely lands on. To his right in the cockpit is First Officer Jeremy Webb. He is a 37-year-old Australian from Sydney. He joined Emirates in 2014, completed his 777 training, and has been a line pilot for just over a year. And in the 12 months before this flight, he has completed 58 landings as pilot flying with 29 of them at Dubai. 3 times the captain's recent Dubai experience. These two men have never flown together before today. And 1900 miles away, Dubai is already preparing something neither of them has ever trained for. By 2016, Emirates was operating over 500 flights every single day, and this meant managing 500 departures and hundreds of crews, thousands of moving parts, including fuel, catering, scheduling, and maintenance, all happening simultaneously across one of the busiest airports on the planet. Coordinating something that complex requires one thing above everything else: the right information in the right hands at the right time. And that's exactly what Odoo does for your business. Odoo is an all-in-one business management platform with over 70 apps covering everything from sales and inventory to accounting and HR, all connected and all talking to each other. Take Odoo CRM for example. This gives your sales team a visual pipeline. Every lead, every opportunity, and every customer interaction is all in one place. You can drag and drop deals through the stages, and you can automate your follow-ups so nothing falls through the cracks. And because Odoo CRM connects directly with your marketing, invoicing, and operations, your entire business is finally speaking the same language. There's no more scattered spreadsheets and no more information sitting in silos. Every person in your company has accurate, up-to-date information. Just one place where your entire operation lives. I use Odoo to run Wyngx, and it's genuinely changed how I manage the business side of this channel. The first app is free with unlimited hosting and support. Head to the link in the description to get started. Emirates 521 is now an hour from landing. It's time for the approach briefing. Dubai has 2 runways, one to left and one to right. The current active runway is one to left, and so they brief for it. But given the winds are unpredictable, they also brief for 30 left, the opposite side of the parallel runway, just in case ATC switches them at the last minute. They then brief the missed approach procedure. What should they do if they aren't able to land? To go around, they'll press these TOGA switches on the throttles, retract the flaps to 20, and climb straight ahead to 3000 feet. Now remember this, when the TOGA switches are pressed, the computer automatically pushes the throttles to full go-around thrust. The pilots don't need to push the throttles manually. As the briefing wraps up, the Dubai weather information comes in, and 2 things jump out. The ambient temperature is 48 degrees, and the runway's surface temperature is a scorching 67 degrees.
Hot day today. We should expect thermals on approach.
And to add to the extreme heat, Dubai ATIS is warning them about wind shear. The wind shear warning is active for all runways between 11:40 am and 1 pm. Flight 521 is scheduled to land at 12:24 pm, right in the middle of that window. So the crew discuss what they should do if they were to encounter a wind shear.
We have a wind shear warning active. In case of a wind shear TOGA, no configuration changes, no flaps, no gears, just power and altitude.
But here's the thing about a warning you've heard too many times. You start explaining it away. Listen to how they talk about it.
I experienced wind shear during descent, like about 3 months ago.
Yeah, there was one that I had at Dubai, but it was more like the wind just shifted. The speed went 10 knots more, so we just went around. But I don't think we'll have that today. This is just a standard caution.
Dubai Airport puts out these wind shear warnings all summer as a routine precaution. The captain has seen them 100 times, but 99 times nothing came of it. That's the thing about cautions. Eventually, they stop being cautions. They just turn into noise. But today is different. 300 kilometers to the south of Dubai, a massive low-pressure system is formed. This one is so large and so powerful that it is affecting the airflow over the entire region. And today being a very hot day, a second low-pressure system has also formed 55 kilometers to the southwest of the airport. On their own, neither low pressure system is a threat, but together they begin choking the sea breeze. Every afternoon, as the hot air over the city rises, cooler air from the Gulf slides in to replace it. This is called sea breeze. This sea breeze usually travels at around 8 knots. But the two low pressure systems today interact with the sea breeze and brings the sea breeze front to a crawl. And the sea breeze front is right now hanging over runway 12 left. Here is what the sea breeze front is currently looking like. Inside the front, the wind is blowing from left to right, a tailwind. And just outside the front, the wind is blowing from right to left, a headwind. These two are separated by a boundary just a few hundred meters wide. The moment an airplane crosses this boundary, it will experience textbook wind shear conditions. So slow down for a second, because I need to explain one thing that will make you understand the story better. Airspeed versus ground speed. Let's picture a plane that's parked on the runway with its engines off. It is sitting still, its ground speed is 0, it's not moving. Now let the wind blow at it head on at 10 knots. It still hasn't moved. Its ground speed is still 0. But the air is now flowing over the wings at 10 knots. So its airspeed is 10 knots. That's the whole idea. A wing doesn't care how fast the plane crosses the ground. It only cares how fast the air flows over it. And that flow is what makes lift. So hold on to this one line. More headwind means more air over the wing, means more lift. The plane wants to stay in the sky. But now if that airflow suddenly changes, so does the lift, and the plane can drop hundreds of feet in seconds. That is wind shear. Now the 777 isn't defenseless against this. It has a predictive wind shear system that's built in. Below 1200 feet, the radar in the nose scans the air ahead, looking out for wind shear conditions. It does this by bouncing pulses that reflect off of the moisture in the air, like rain, water droplets, and humidity. If it sees a wind shear, it warns the pilots,
wind shear ahead.
But Dubai is a desert. On a day this hot and dry, there is almost no moisture in the air for the radar to find. There is nothing to reflect off of. There is nothing to see. The one system that is designed to warn them is blind. And because it stays silent, unless the ATC explicitly warns them about a wind shear, the pilots have no reason to believe that anything is wrong. That silence is the most dangerous thing on this aircraft today. Emirates 521 is now flying above Dubai. It's about 15 minutes out and descending. We are now right in the middle of the wind shear window that ATC had earlier warned us about. 5 planes are in the queue ahead of 521, waiting to land. The first airplane, a Boeing 737, lands successfully. And as they clear the runway, the crew radios in a warning.
Dubai Tower, be advised, light to moderate wind shear, short final.
But that warning goes out on the tower frequency. Emirates 521 is currently tuned into the approach frequency. And so, they don't hear the transmission. The next airplane is an Air India Airbus A321. It comes over the threshold, but they can't make it land. And so, they go around. 2 minutes later, a Emirates 777 does exactly the same thing. Over the threshold, unable to stay down, and they go around too. 2 go-arounds in 3 minutes. And neither crew tells the tower the reason why.
Emirates 521, contact Dubai Tower 118.75.
After this, 2 more 777s land. One of them faces wind shear, floats and touches down long. But they too say nothing to the tower. Emirates 521 turns into final. All that they know is 2 planes ahead of them have landed successfully. And they have not heard any wind shear warnings from ATC, nor from the planes ahead. The captain has half the picture, but he has the wrong half. The gear is coming down. The flaps are set to 30. They are stabilized on the approach, and the captain is the pilot flying. Just the landing remains.
Emirates 521, clear to land.
The runway is about 2 minutes away. The plane keeps descending towards it. At 930 feet, the captain clicks off the autopilot and flies the airplane by hand. This is what Emirates has trained their pilots to do. The autothrottle stays on. Its job is to hold the plane at 152 knots by working the thrust levers on its own. At 450 feet, the call-out comes.
Minimums.
Landing.
Check.
The captain is now committed to the landing. His eyes are fixed on the touchdown markers ahead. The captain will look outside and fly the plane down to the runway. The first officer will look inside at the instruments and call out any deviations that need the captain's attention. The plane is currently inside the sea breeze front and they are experiencing a tailwind. At 190 feet, the first officer cautions.
We have a 16-knot tailwind, Captain.
But as they descend to 115 feet, the tailwind eases up to 13 knots. But this decrease in tailwind means more air over the wings, which means more lift. The plane doesn't want to come down anymore. It wants to stay up. The airspeed climbs 7 knots above the target. The autothrottle responds and pulls the thrust levers back to compensate.
100.
The plane is now just seconds from the runway. They cross the threshold at 54 feet and 159 knots.
50.
At 50 feet, the aircraft's predictive wind shear alert system shuts off automatically. It's the one that calls out wind shear ahead. And the logic is simple. That warning only helps if there's distance ahead to react. Below 50 feet, there is no ahead left. The plane is already almost on the runway. But not that it mattered, because in the absence of any humidity, the radar was already blind.
40.
The captain initiates the flare at 40 feet. He pulls back gently on the control column and raises the nose slightly. The flare is typically initiated at 20 to 30 feet above the runway, not 40. 10 feet doesn't sound like much, but this close to the ground, 10 feet matters. And we are about to see why.
30.
The first set of touchdown markers passes beneath them. The wheels still haven't touched. Remember the flare that started 10 feet too high? This is the moment it starts to cost him. Up until this point, the autothrottle has been doing one job, holding 152 knots. It has been nudging the thrust levers constantly, making tiny adjustments, keeping the aircraft exactly on speed. At 25 feet, the computer makes a move. It assumes that the landing is happening and the plane is about to settle onto the runway. So it does what it's built to do on touchdown. It pulls the power back. The thrust levers coast back on their own and the engines go quiet. The aircraft is now just gliding a few feet above the ground. 20. The second set of touchdown markers passes beneath them. The plane just refuses to land because 3 things are conspiring to hold this plane in the air. The first is thermals. Thermals are these columns of hot air that's rising off of the hot concrete surface, pushing up against the wings, keeping the plane suspended.
Hot day today. We should expect thermals on approach.
The second is the early flare. By starting the flare 10 feet too high, the plane's angle of attack increases, which decreases the descent rate. And now, there is a third thing called ground effect. When a large aircraft gets very close to the ground, the air trapped between the wings and the runway surface gets compressed. It can't escape. This creates a cushion of high pressure air, which creates additional lift whether you want it or not. With the engines not producing any thrust, they are flying too slow to climb, but they are generating way too much lift to actually land. They are caught in a zombie state between flying and landing, and they are eating up runway with every passing second.
10.
The plane is still inside the sea breeze front. The place where the front stops is a mere 100 meters ahead of the pilots. They are about to cross over to the other side, but this boundary is entirely invisible. Their warning systems are inhibited. About 650 meters past the threshold, just a few feet off the ground, the plane crosses the line. In a space of barely 150 meters, the tailwind becomes an updraft and then turns into a headwind. And you remember what a headwind does. The airspeed jumps 12 knots, the wings bite, the plane lurches upward, and the captain fights to stabilize it. Wind shear.
Oops, thermals.
Check.
The captain thinks the plane is inside thermals. Every piece of information that he has points to thermals. Given that ATC has never warned him, he has no idea that he's in a wind shear. The sudden headwind causes the airspeed to climb 160, 165, 12 knots gained in seconds. That extra speed increases the lift. The plane is now barely 5 feet off the ground and more than a kilometer past the threshold. The captain pushes the control column forward, trying to force the nose down, trying to make it land. The plane doesn't respond. He pushes again and again. 3 times. The wheels still won't touch. A sudden gust rolls the plane 3 degrees to the left. The captain corrects. Hard. 30 degrees of control wheel to the right. The plane banks 7 degrees. And that bank causes the right main landing gear to kiss the runway. 1090 meters past the threshold. Half a second later, both main gears settle. The speed brakes deploy automatically to kill the lift. But the gear bounces and the plane lifts away again. The speed brakes retract. For 6 seconds, the gear cycles like this. Touching the runway, lifting off, touching again. And the pilots think that they have just hit turbulence. The touchdown zone is behind them now. And so, the captain decides to go around.
Go around.
The captain's eyes are fixed outside on the runway. He pushes the TOGA switches from muscle memory and pulls back gently on the control column to lift the plane back into the air. Long landing. He hears the warning that they are far beyond where they should be. But the captain now has a new problem. He knows that he is too low, just feet off the runway. If he pulls up too fast on a plane this long, the tail will strike the concrete before the wings can fly, and the damage will be catastrophic. So he raises the nose carefully, holding the pitch back. And everything else narrows. His focus locks onto one task, the rotation, the angle of the plane, the tail strike. Everything else, the warnings, the instruments, the feel of the controls under his hand, it all fades away. The thrust levers are right beneath his palm. He doesn't notice that they haven't moved. Just like in the simulator session, his tunnel vision is back. This time in real life. And there is no evaluator watching. No one there to snap him out of it. From habit, after pushing TOGA, the captain expects the thrust levers to advance on their own. The engines should surge. The plane should climb. He has done this thousands of times. But today, those thrust levers are sitting at idle. Here's the question for you. If the TOGA switches were pressed and the auto throttle is still on, why haven't these thrust levers moved? Remember how just 2 seconds ago, the right gear touched the runway? The moment that happened, the plane switched from air mode to ground mode. And in ground mode, the TOGA switches are disabled. It's a deliberate design by Boeing to stop a plane from taking off again after it has already landed, just in case someone presses the TOGA switch by mistake. If you want to go around after a touchdown, you have to push the thrust levers forward manually. But the captain doesn't know that he has touched down, so he has no reason to believe that the throttles haven't moved. The plane lifts off the runway again at 153 knots, climbing slowly on momentum and on the headwind that is still flowing over the wings. There is zero thrust coming from the engines.
Flaps 20.
The captain calls for flaps 20. It's the right call for a normal go-around. Retract the flaps to 20 and climb away. But this isn't a normal go-around. It's wind shear. And in wind shear, you leave the flaps alone because you need every bit of lift that the wing can give you. He briefed this procedure too just an hour ago.
We have a wind shear warning active. In case of a wind shear TOGA, no configuration changes, no flaps, no gears, just power and altitude.
He's just running the wrong go-around because he still doesn't know what's happening to his aircraft. The flaps ease towards 20, but the flaps were never going to be the thing that killed them. Under his right hand, The 2 thrust levers are still sitting at idle. And no one, not the captain nor the first officer, has checked them.
Positive climb.
But the plane isn't climbing on power. It's coasting upwards on borrowed energy. It's trading speed for height. And that speed is running out. At 58 feet, the captain calls for gear up. And just then, the tower also comes in.
Emirates 521, continue straight ahead, climb to 4,000 feet.
The first officer reads back the clearance, raises the gear, and reaches for the panel to change the altitude from 3,000 to 4,000 feet. For 5 valuable seconds, his attention is inside on that dial. He isn't watching the airspeed. And that airspeed is the only thing that's keeping them alive. 135 knots and falling. The plane reaches 85 feet above the runway. And the climb stops. From the moment they cross the threshold, to this point, just 26 seconds have passed.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Oops, thermals.
Check.
Long landing.
Go around.
Positive climb.
Gear up.
Flaps 20.
Emirates 521, continue straight ahead, climb to 4,000 feet.
The plane hangs at 85 feet for a fraction of a second. The vertical speed drops to 0 and then goes to negative. All the forward energy is gone and the plane begins to fall. The captain feels it, that sinking feeling in his stomach.
Windshear TOGA.
Finally, he names it windshear. But here's the cruel irony. For the first time on this entire approach, windshear is not the problem. The 8-knot headwind flowing over the wings is actually helping them. It's giving them a little lift, keeping them airborne for a moment longer. The real problem is sitting right under his hand. 2 thrust levers still at idle. 2 engines still producing almost nothing. And now his training kicks in. He shoves both the thrust levers forward manually all the way to the firewall.
Don't sink, don't
A
sink.
jet engine can't wake up
Don't
instantly.
sink, don't
From
sink.
idle, the 777's engines
sink,
need
don't
about 6
sink.
seconds to reach full power. He has 3 seconds of altitude left.
Check speed.
Airspeed low, 128 knots.
Don't sink, don't sink.
The plane keeps falling. In a last attempt to
Don't
stretch the
sink,
glide,
don't
the
sink.
captain hauls back on the control column. The nose rises to 9.2 degrees, but it does the opposite of what he wants. More pitch means more drag, and the plane sinks faster. The engines are spooling up now. The thrust is building. The runway is right there, but the wheels are rising up. It's a race, and only one of them can win. 40 feet, 2 seconds. 30 feet, 1 second. "18 seconds after the captain called for the go-around, the aft fuselage of Emirates 521 slams into runway 12 left at 124 knots. The right engine strikes the runway first and tears away from the wing, engine and pylon together. The fuel ignites. A second fire starts beneath the left engine. With the right engine gone, the asymmetric thrust from the left engine slews the aircraft sideways. It slides on its belly for 800 meters, rotating as it goes, before grinding to a halt beside taxiway Mike 13, 70 meters off of the center line, on a heading of 250 degrees, almost pointing the way it came. 32 seconds after impact, the aircraft is still, and inside, 300 people are still strapped onto their seats. In the cockpit, the captain and the first officer run the evacuation checklist. They shut down the one engine that is still running.
Mayday, 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 Emirates 521. We are evacuating. Cabin crew, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate.
The fire is eating the right side of the aircraft, and several of the escape slides have failed, torn loose or blown flat against the fuselage by the wind. Of the exits, only a handful are usable. Passengers don't know which way to go. Some push towards doors that are already engulfed in flames. Others stop to pull their bags from the overhead bins. In the forward economy cabin, a family rises to evacuate through the R2 door. They are almost there when they realize that their 7-year-old daughter isn't with them. The mother turns back and starts going into the cabin, against the flow of escaping passengers, blocking the aisle until a cabin crew member reaches them.
Go, we'll take her off her. Go.
The mother hesitates, but then she turns around and exits out of R2. Their daughter is found by another crew member and jumps out of R5. For those few minutes, neither of them knew whether the other had made it. An evacuation is supposed to take 90 seconds. This one took 6 minutes and 40 seconds. 21 passengers and several crew members suffer minor injuries. 4 cabin crew are seriously hurt. But as the last of them reaches the slides, everyone is getting out alive. 9 minutes and 40 seconds after the aircraft comes to rest, the center wing fuel tank explodes. A fireball erupts from the heart of the airplane. A section of the right wing's upper skin, a panel the size of a car, is blasted free. It falls back to the ground and it strikes a firefighter who has been at his post since the moment the aircraft stopped. He is rushed to hospital. The 777 burns for hours. By the time the fire is out, there is nothing left but a blackened skeleton. The investigation took 4 years and it revealed surprising findings. The tower knew something was wrong before 521 ever arrived. After the 2 go-arounds ahead of them, the watch managers discussed switching to the opposite runway. But the wind had them trapped. The other end had a tailwind too, and switching would have forced every arrival and departure onto a single runway. It was disruptive, complicated, and so they left it. 521 was clear to land on a runway the controllers themselves were no longer sure of. And they never told the crew any of it. Not about the go-arounds, not about the wind shear reported, not the winds shifting on the runway itself. Then, there was the wind shear system on the ground. Dubai's detection was so unreliable that the airport issued wind shear warnings constantly, even on days with no wind shear at all. And so, pilots learned to tune them out.
The speed went 10 knots more, so we just went around. But I don't think we'll have that today. This is just a standard caution.
Dubai now requires controllers to pass on go-around and wind shear information to every following aircraft, regardless of frequency. More wind shear sensors were installed along the runways. Boeing updated its procedures to demand explicit verification that the thrust levers actually move during a go-around. And Emirates added this exact scenario to its recurring simulator training. Emirates 521 remains the only hull loss in the airline's history. The route from Thiruvananthapuram to Dubai still flies today. It just carries a different number now, Emirates 523. Mohammed Qadir walked off the runway alive. 6 days after the crash, he became a millionaire. 300 people boarded a plane that was about to crash. Every one of them walked away. The firefighter, Jassim al-Balushi, the one who ran towards the smoke, who stood at his post from the moment the aircraft stopped, he was the only one who didn't get to go home.